Todd, help me understand the vision of core values within your organization.
What really prompted me to pursue the identification of our core values was learning about core values. Steve LaVigne, our president, repeatedly talked about core values and the significance of sharing these throughout the business. Initially, I thought this might just be another company motto placed on the back of a business card and forgotten. But out of respect for Steve, I dug in and started researching. And I gotta tell you, my greatest revelation was that core values are not values we want to aspire to, but more importantly, these are values that were forged while I and we were building the business. These are the values that got us here. Light bulbs began to go off as I began to identify these values. I was chomping at the bit to share these with others. Core values should not be confused with aspirational values, which are those that a company wants to pursue. Core values are happening right now. As the business grows, the core values will have to be communicated to assure the company stays on course. I really want our team to know what drove me and the business to grow. Maybe more importantly, I want our team to align with me and share these values to grow and improve our business. These values represent a unique and proven process of success for us. We, everyone, are using these values to drive our initiatives, shape our decisions, impact our performance. What if we bring these values into the light? How much more powerful experience could we create?
What is your first and most profound value?
Ron, that's easy. Guaranteed success.
Why is this core value so significant to your company?
In the beginning of building our business, I struggled significantly, personally, professionally, with the loss of good employees, good friends. It was painful to watch these committed and talented individuals exit the business. I remember one good friend, an estimator, professed to me, "This was a great job until they sold something." In other words, with every sale came an insurmountable number of tasks to process the sale. While serving as the branch manager in Omaha, I always felt so fortunate to have three amazing superintendents. Unfortunately, all three of these individuals exited the business, and all for the same reason. It was just too much. They repeatedly felt like they were not succeeding. In time, I realized I must make these roles and these tasks within this business achievable. And even more so, I realized we must create a process and roles that guarantee an employee's success within the organization. And so the journey began. We began creating the CRM, SOPs, new support roles, significant education system. Slowly, we began to see individuals remaining in the roles. The level of satisfaction increased, the culture began to positively change. One of the most significant changes we implemented within the organization is the 8 a.m. check-in with the crews as part of our overriding project management SOP. By checking with our crews having arrived on site and started the install, we were able to provide any missing of materials, equipment, and remove any roadblocks, such as missing staking.
So did this core value lead to another?
Oh, absolutely. To guarantee success, we must build processes that assure success. Thus, our next core value is building processes. In the beginning of building our business, we solely relied on the talents of our team members, leaving it entirely on them to figure out how to run the business. But as the business grew, this strategy wasn't working. Though we have very talented people, new employees and new branches did not have the benefit of working closely with seasoned and tenured employees. We could see where some operations were successful based on experienced individuals who had the time to figure it out, while newer operations were not, as they were reinventing the wheel. We were not guaranteeing success. What if we captured these best practices being used by successful operations into hard-core processes that could be easily deployed in the new organizations? And so the journey began. We began to write and educate on SOPs for every facet of our business. We began building processes within the CRM that guaranteed success. For sales staff estimating projects, we created an overriding project management SOP that is the prime directive of our business. In time, we realized we could quickly integrate new employees into these processes with some immediate success. One of the most instrumental processes we created was residential bid space. This process allows the most novice residential estimator to experience immediate success. Draw your fence, select a fence style, and you've completed the process with absolute success. This moves us light years when we had to create a bill of goods and hand calculate the labor. Another great example is our current access control AWS. We've taken what was repeated failed attempts at bidding complicated access control projects to making it possible for anyone to bid access controls. Creating UL compliant access control packages, you're assured to not leave any items out of your bid.
Yeah, processes are invaluable. How do you make sure these are being used in all the organizations?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ron. That brings us to our next core value, accountability. In the beginning, we were a business of 12 employees. It was easy to hold one another accountable as our responsibility and roles were very transparent and interconnected. As the business grew, we began to add new roles and more staff. Holding one another accountable began to become more difficult as we were not so interconnected. My leadership style and the style of our top leaders is servant leadership. We're here to serve and be accountable to our people. We've built our business around this concept. We are the single set of footprints in the sand. And I wanted to make sure this concept was in the fabric of every business unit and division. And so once again, the journey begins. We began to create processes that hold individuals accountable to one another, the organization, and the customers. One simple example is our AR staff are the last to talk to our customers. Their feedback on how the customer feels and timely pays their invoice holds our managers and supervisors staff accountable to provide a good product and service. You find this level of accountability in every aspect of our business, from the Asana, the CRM, and multiple reporting functions. Shortly after discovering Asana, it took roots in almost every aspect of our business. There's not a business unit or business leader who's not included in an Asana action plan. At the heart of it is a means where we hold one another accountable to complete critical tasks necessary for our growth and success. We now have over 100 Asana action plans.
Todd, that's a high level of accountability. I imagine people can get very frustrated if they cannot work the process. How do you guarantee success when people are not successful but accountable?
Oh, you nailed it. That's right. If we're going to hold people accountable, we better be prepared to support them so that they can be successful. That brings us to our next core value, real problem solving. This core value is very personal to me. This core value focuses first on valuing people. It's easy for leaders and others to first profess before they listen and learn. When we do, we simply alienate and separate ourselves from others in the business. I used to teach a class on leadership and interpersonal skills before coming to American Fence. I found one of the most valuable skills we focused on is the skill of active listening. Active listening isn't passive. It involves getting to know one another and what you are struggling with, and then discussing possible solutions that fit the individual and not just the organization. If people are failing, simply telling them start succeeding is like nails on a chalkboard to them. We must take the time to really listen to them, then begin removing the roadblocks that have impeded them from their success. For months, we've been telling our inventory staff that we need accurate inventories. Week after week, we repeated this demand. The result, failed attempts and individuals exiting the organization. As my concerns began to grow, we finally sat down with our inventory staff and asked them to explain their process. We simply asked questions and listened. What we discovered is the process we're deploying was the broken spoke and not the individuals. We quickly outlined a step-by-step process and checklist that worked for them. Guess what? Immediate success.
I get it, but what if you don't have the resources to solve the problem?
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to find the beautiful, one must carry it with them. We need to be sure we carry the expertise necessary to solve these problems. We must be experts at what we do. We must invest in education and learning. Coincidentally, that brings us to our next core value, professionalism. When I was teaching at UNL, I was new, but so aspired to be the subject matter expert on everything I taught. It was tough as I was so young and did not have all those worldly experiences. I spent no less than 12 hours preparing for each class, reading books and articles on relevant topics. When I left the university, I carried this value forward to my experience at American Fence. I could never ask anyone to do something I could not speak from experience or I did not know. I never stretched concertina wire before. If I was to ask my guys to do this harrowing task, I knew I had to learn right along with them. This same value carried forward with so many aspects of our business. Here's a funny fact. I had 13 toolboxes in my pickup for many years while building our business. I was the access control tech. I was going to be our professional before asking anybody else. There's personal value carried forward into our business core values. You can find this core value in every aspect of our business now. Our fence certification program is geared to transforming new hires into industry professionals. Our educational moments, our Fence Education Everyday series, Director of Education, LMS system, safety certifications, OSHA training, and so much more. Today, we strive to be the industry professionals through education. I will assure you that no other fence contractor in the United States commits as much to education like American Fence Company. We are the best.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like you have a complete set of core values that interconnect to guarantee success. So what's next for American Fence Company?
We are always growing and expanding. That brings me to our last core value, maximizing an innovation. American Fence Company has grown from only $3 million in sales to over $120 million in over 30 years. We've built an entire annual event focused on maximizing and innovating. The results of this event carry through the year through a group of steering committees that continue to drive growth and innovation. This is what we call the Next Greatest Idea event. 30 years ago, we were 3 branches. Our business model was mostly material sales. Today, we are 15 fence companies, 2 playground operations, a technical drilling company, and a custom metals operation. Once we felt that we may have saturated our current geographical footprint, we began to think about vertical innovation. How can we grow our business beyond simply adding more branches? Where were the next opportunities? We first looked at the temporary fence industry. 30 years ago, we installed your temporary fence, invoiced you, and forgot about it unless you called us to remove it. Today, we have built a sophisticated CRM around the rental model. We not only track our installations, inventory, and installed quantities, we're alerted to bill for additional months' rent, damaged or missing materials. For the last 3 years, we've seen growth of 100% year over year. Next, we focus on the custom metals industry. 20 years ago, we were asked by a local contractor if we could build some louvered screens. We knew nothing about building screens and definitely didn't have the equipment to do so. But we figured it out. We eventually formed a business around this first fabrication called Palm Shield. Today, we're doing in excess of $20 million in business and employ almost 55 people in a new 50,000 square foot facility with some of the most innovative CNC equipment available. Next was the access control industry. This industry was being taken over by electricians and garage door installers. Through our Next Greatest Idea event, we decided to make access controls a priority. We created a legion of access control techs and trained estimators to sell access controls. We doubled our access control sales year after year for 4 years. Was this enough? Hell no. Not for a company that valued maximizing an innovation. We looked for the next innovation, e-commerce sales. We created over 17 e-commerce platforms that represent local market sales to national sales. This business grew from only 17,000 in 2018 to over 4 million in 2023.
Todd, that sounds significant. Any final words or conclusions?
You said it earlier, Ron. These core values all interconnect. That's exactly what I have attempted to do in one short paragraph that makes it easy for our team to relate to these values. Guaranteed success for our people, our customers, and the organization is at the heart of our business. We achieve success through solving real problems by creating sustainable processes and holding ourselves accountable. This success creates a community of professionals capable of innovation and growth.